We also have the layout of the station. We're now career and paid on call or volunteer, and we have so many people on duty that they respond to the apparatus we have, and then we have a contingent of personnel that come in from home. The way this works right now is they have to actually park in the parking lot, which is down a set of concrete steps. They have to come up those steps, and they have to cross the apron where the fire trucks are leaving to go on calls in order to get their gear. As you'll see in some other pictures here, that they actually have to wait for the apparatus to exit the station. Otherwise, they could be struck by the truck when they're putting their gear on. There's literally inches between the gear racks and the trucks in some of these areas. Some of the other issues that we have is the living quarters. It was never designed as a station to be lived in. It was designed as a station to store apparatus or small fire trucks at the time. Now we have a situation where we have 4 full-time 24-hour shift people here every day, as well as 4 to 5 people in administration. So the problem that gives us is how to pack them in the space upstairs that was originally designed as a small training room. We've successfully done that. There's 4 twin beds in an area probably about as large as most of your single bedrooms at home, and the flat roof design that's continued to leak for years despite being fixed and having numerous repairs done to it has caused mold and deterioration of the block walls. The block walls are so saturated with moisture that regardless how many times we clean it or fix it, the mold comes back, and the living conditions are pretty tough, as you'll see upstairs. Fire exit out the back door, you can't get open without a pretty good kick to it. So we've just got some deterioration of the structure that it's lived well for 50 years, but it's time to move on. The other thing, obviously, that happened here, our location on Wicker Street, when the hall was built in the 1950s, it was very small village area. M53 was not here. Van Dyke had very little traffic on it, and it was not an issue getting the apparatus out of the end of the street to respond to a call. Now, at different times of the day, in the morning, the afternoon, particularly around 5 o'clock, it's very difficult to get the apparatus out. When we pull out to the end of the street, there has been 2 buildings constructed since then that make it a blind intersection. So the apparatus can't see other cars when they pull out, and the other cars can't see us coming up and down Van Dyke because we're trying to get out in traffic. The new location would resolve that and give us a much better response time to most areas in the township. As we move forward with this, financial is always a big issue, and the Township Board has worked very hard and diligently with the Fire Department administration staff to plan for a new station. And for the past several years, retired Chief Howard started this with Chief Paterick, who is the fire chief now, and that continued when I came on board a year ago as the assistant chief here, and we've just tried to increase that effort. The one fortunate thing that we have had happen is there's a grant opportunity from FEMA, which is the Federal Emergency Management Agency, and DHS, Department of Homeland Security. And that grant opportunity was offered through the stimulus program that the President announced earlier this year, and the application period came out in June and went for a month through July. We applied with about 6,000 other departments. There is $210 million available nationwide, and you could apply up to $5 million per station or $15 million up to 3 stations. We applied for a single station for replacement for this headquarters station. The grant scenario that we used was constructing a approximately $3 million station, which would give us 15,000 to 17,000 square feet and would meet our needs for probably the next 50 years. We've been fortunate enough to continue in the grant process. We're in the final stages. That number of 6,000 is narrowed down to we're probably in the 300 to 400 ranges now, and hopefully we're at better than 50-60% chance of getting the grant. But we're continuing to communicate with Department of Homeland Security and FEMA to give them the information needed for the grant. The township has moved forward very rapidly but cautiously with the board and the fire department officials to purchase land, as well as start the requirements to be essentially shovel ready in November. And what that means, if we've been awarded the grant, we would actually start moving dirt on the site and possibly some foundation work depending on what weather does and how far we are in the process to begin construction in November. The grant, again, I said was for $3 million for the station. The match to that would be 50%. So all in told, we'd have a $3 million station, of which the federal grant would pay $1.5 million or half of it. If the grant process does not come through, we will have acquired the land and we'll have the architectural drawings for the station. And at that time, the board would go back and look at it with the fire department, determining what the best time is to move forward with it. Will it be immediately or somewhere down the road? But the work we've done up until now, it needed to be done. The station property has been purchased. That's being finalized, as well as the architectural plans. So hopefully the next time we see you, it'll be in the new station, and we'll have a new facility to show you.
Earlier this year, Washington Township decided to hire one company for their waste hauling needs. At the August 19th Bruce Township meeting, the board also considered taking the same path, as some residents have requested they look into this. The Romeo Post Office kicked off their campaign last week to help keep kids safe by shooting a promo here at Channel 6. Postmaster Alex Stubbs came up with the idea to have carriers keep an eye on the neighborhoods and kids while on their mail routes. One of the best things about this time of year is fresh tomatoes. And if you're a tomato lover, then head on over to Miller's Big Red Orchard, August 29th and 30th, for their first annual Heirloom Tomato Festival. The times are noon to 5, both days, and they're also offering cooking displays, food, amusement rides, and music. The price is $12.95 for adults and $10 for kids under 10. So check out their website at www.millersbigred/tomatofest.com. Patty Godin, a master gardener and member of St. John and Paul Parish in Washington Township, has been instrumental in designing and planting a community vegetable garden behind the church. Here she is with more about the garden.
This year we decided to have a community garden to provide some extra fresh vegetables for food pantries locally, as the Samaritan House is one that receives some, and the Agape Center. And what we did is had this brainstorm idea in, I believe it was April. Bridget, who works here for the parish, suggested that parishioners bring in seed packets. That happened on Easter when we had the Easter egg hunt. So families brought in seed packets. Bridget gave me those seed packets, and I started most of the tomato plants and the pepper plants, most of the plants that needed to be started sooner. Planted those in my house, grew them up, and brought them in, and then we had a big planting day. I believe it was on May 30th. So through the help of several families, we've kept the garden organic. We've put in all sorts of soil amendments. We planned it out, and we have room to expand. But this year has mainly been considered a learning year since it was our first year actually doing the garden. And it's been a wild success, actually. We have learned some things. We've encountered some problems, but the plants have all been giving us a great harvest. Thus, the people who need the food from the food banks are actually receiving some good quality vegetables.
Samaritan House will be closed over Labor Day weekend. They will be closed September 4th through the 9th and will reopen on September 11th. Neighbors Caring for Neighbors will be closed September 7th and will reopen on the 14th. And now, here's Paul with sports.
In sports, remember I told you last week about the skateboard event that is going to be held during the Peach Festival. We invited Kurt Luttermoser, event organizer, in with a few friends to tell you about the tournament.
Hi, my name is Kurt Luttermoser, managing partner for the Adrenaline Games Alliance, an action sports entertainment company here in Metro Detroit. I'm also joined here by Taylor and Matt Wallagora from State Farm Insurance, as well as the Community Care Bear from State Farm. We're very excited. Coming Friday, September 4th, during the Michigan Peach Festival, we're bringing our Summer Skate Park series, which will include a free Learn to Skate clinic, also free helmets from Matt and the gang at State Farm to all the attendees with our pro skateboarder, Gerald Valley. Also, our Junior Jam competition, which will feature some of the top up-and-coming skateboarders, will take place after the clinic. So, Matt, Taylor, this is going to be a great weekend. Michigan Peach Festival, going to have a great crowd. And we're very excited. We got some of the top skateboarders and action sports athletes. And Matt, I want to thank you for bringing the helmets. And they're a big success. It's about safety in the community. Guys like Taylor, you going to be out and join us? How about you? You gonna wear a helmet? Well, we're gonna have a lot of fun.